And I'm going to continue along this line. I think the title of this one shall be The Pigmentation Conundrum. Because I've really suffered through all this listening to you demelanated and, we was kings and queens and shit. I've listened to endless Afro-American, Black Hebrew, Black Hebrew, Israelite, Christian, Muslim, pseudoscience, and racial, black supremacy preachments for too long now. I am going to keep this one short. This is the basic conundrum. If you're claiming that pigment is so good, to the best of my recollection, and this is only, I'm fatigued because you notice I'm leaving things out when I make these presentations, spending too much time talking about social things instead of sticking to the science. This is the conundrum that I'm faced with. And we're all faced with, to come up with a proper answer is, to the best of my recall, you only have pigment in 3 places. 4, sorry. Hair, skin, eyes, and brain. There's different types of melanin. It's not all brown. But, and this is where I get past the Google censorship machine, is because Negro, you see what I did on the first video? The Negro albino is a juxtaposition of 2 polar opposite words. Negro means black in Latin. Alba means white. Literally the title meant the black white, the Negro albino, the black white one, which is kind of backwards. It should be the albino Negro, but I decided to do it that way. That's the nature of genius. This is the conundrum. In the brain, it's called the substantia nigra. The way Southerners pronounce nigra, actually I'm going to go too long again. The New England dialect and the Southern dialect are almost identical, except that they put R's where they don't belong. Wash, Montana, Guitarden. But language experts agree that the Southern dialect comes close to attempting to pronounce the King's English appropriately, and uneducated Southerners would call black people Negros, the blacks, not Schwarzes. That's where the term Negra was only recently. Negro is the Spanish variant of Nigra. Let me get to it. I've talked about this before. If it's so beneficial, why is it that those 2 races that are supposed to be have evolved from out of Africa? It wasn't out, it was into Africa. Evolved out of Africa, the Mongoloids and the Caucasoids. Why is it? Remember, I'm talking about the gray matter. That's a term. Oh, he has some really big gray matter in his. See, my gray matter is huge. A lot of important function goes on in that gray matter in your brain. Might want to check out the brain, check some diagrams, and pull up some articles about substantia nigra. And while I'm on this subject, the white matter in the brain there's a huge sexual difference between males and females. It's kind of like the central processing unit of the brain. We knew by the year 2000 that despite the difference in size of the white matter as opposed to the gray matter, it didn't matter. They function just as well. Females' brains can function just as well as men's, even though their white matter is much smaller. But when it comes to memory and function, the size and the qualities, characteristics of the substantia nigra, the black matter, gray matter, does matter. It does kind of look grayish. So why is it that it was Dr. Watson, I think Crick was already dead. It was Crick. It may have been Crick, one of the founders of the double helices of the DNA, was lost a $5 million contract. It was reported, lost his tenure, lost his job, was just ravaged in the media. You've heard me talk about this before, when he stated the simple fact that all the studies show that black Africans are less intelligent than everybody else on this planet. They've never won a single prize, Nobel Prize in science. The guy went there, a PhD, and he did kind of a skewed test. He only picked college freshmen. He gave the blacks an advantage in that. He didn't do it generally, and it was tightly monitored, and it was a pattern recognition with kind of an arithmetical, bent to it. This plus this, the simple symbols of arithmetic. And consistently, the other races outscored black Africans, the Negro. So if having all of this melanin and stuff is so great, why aren't black Africans outperforming other races? That's the conundrum of pigmentation. And that's the name of this copyrighted material. I reserve all rights.